The following program is made possible in part by the Nancy Eccles and Homer Hayward Family Foundation, the Digital Media Foundation, Yellow Brick Road, and the Arts Council for Monterey County. A big thank you from McCate TV.
Hello, my name is Caesar and you're watching McCate TV. On October 1st, 2018, Seaside High School's AP Government students hosted a debate where high schoolers and the members of the public were able to ask questions to two of the three candidates running for mayor of Seaside. In an interview with the Monterey Herald, science and history teacher Grant Howerton stressed the importance of exposing young people to local government. He added that talking to the candidates in this forum breaks the barrier, allowing us to see them as living, breathing people rather than talking suits. There's a big difference between reading about the candidates on a piece of paper and seeing them answer your questions in person. You will see throughout the debate that the students were very involved with asking the candidates questions that matter to them. As stated earlier, this debate hosted two of the three mayoral candidates, Ian Oglesby and Lisa Ann Sawney. The third candidate, Kayla Jones, was absent. Ian Oglesby is a peace officer and has 16 years of experience working within the community in various positions such as City Council member, Mayor Pro Tem, and Planning Commissioner. Oglesby wants to focus on the development of affordable housing, creating jobs, and reducing the price of water. Oglesby wants to move Seaside forward. Lisa Ann Sawney is a business owner / advisor that has yet to hold office, but has been very visible in City Council meetings during her 3-year residence at Seaside. Sawney is fighting for financial transparency from City Council as well as strengthening economic development. Sawney wants to ensure the safety, stewardship, and success of Seaside. The third candidate, Kayla Jones, was unable to attend this debate, but we have her official candidate statement from Seaside's city website. As a third-generation Seaside resident, my family is committed to its future. We need a mayor with fresh vision to represent our diverse population. Seaside can't afford to revive old ways of doing business. As your council member, I strive to include residents in decision-making. I initiated programs like city-sponsored childcare during council meetings, established committees to address homelessness and environmental stewardship, changed procedural aspects of city council business, empowering council members to serve more effectively in their roles. As a mayor, I will promote sustainable water supply and the pursuit of public ownership at a reasonable cost to the ratepayers. Support our booming downtown business and industries moving to the area. As an EMT, I help people in crisis. I have compassion and commitment to public service as I tackle important decisions for our community. My grandmother was an aide to Congressman Farr, and my grandfather served as an adjunct general for the 7th Division of Fort Ord. I intend to carry on the family tradition of public service in Monterey County, endorsed by Assemblymember Mark Stone, Supervisor Jane Parker, and other community leaders. I request your vote. Throughout this debate, you will see that Oglesby and Sawney gave their opinions on infrastructure, water credentials, housing, and the Cutino Park Improvement Project. Since Jones was not present to give her position on these subjects, we will provide them for you here. Regarding water credentials, on Kayla Jones' website, she is looking for more affordable alternatives to the current water supplier, California American Water. Recently, water bills have been rising, and the average water bill has been set to almost double for locals in the Monterey County by 2020, according to CalAmp spokeswoman Catherine Stedman. Regarding housing, in a debate hosted by CSU Monterey Bay, Jones said that she supports a committee made up of homeowners, landlords, and renters to decide what rent control would look like for their community. Regarding the Cutino Park Improvement Project, in a city council meeting that took place on July 5th, 2018, Jones was in favor for the plans for the park's renovations design. This project will be a multi-purpose field and skate park centralized in the city of Seaside. Now that you've heard Jones' positions on these topics, without further ado, here's the Seaside High School's mayoral debate.
Hi, my name is Kiana, and I was wondering why you're running for mayor and what makes you different from, let's say, previous mayors and your candidate.
It's the first time that I've sought office, but I've been in Seaside for 3 years, and I've been on the peninsula for 6, and I've seen things that I think I could make a difference in, and really want to be part of that change. There's, the statement, be the change you want to see in the world, and that's why I'm running.
I bring that unique experience that I know the players within this community. I can call them together. I can hold their feet to the fire because I'm good at that, and they know that. So that's the experience that I bring. Over the last 18 years, I have served this community in one capacity or another. So I have 16 years of institutional knowledge with governance on this peninsula.
So what are your first priorities if elected as mayor?
Within the first 100 days, I will have a proposal on the council to implement my 3 housing prong program for affordable housing, which is, again, build affordable housing for those making $75,000 or less.
The largest priority I have is having more openness in chambers. With that, I want to have an online submission form so people who can't show up at council can still voice their opinions or their concerns, and I would like to see that get to everyone, all council members in chamber, and I think that's a pretty easy thing to enact. Water credits is another thing. I think really getting to understand exactly how many water credits we have and where it stands. I've heard all kinds of different numbers and things. And I would also really like an update on the land that both the city owns as well as developments that are in process and kind of where that stands.
Good evening. My name is Holly Komodo, and the question from the public is, gentrification affecting urban communities across California, and local community members are being replaced by moneyed populations. What would you do to keep Seaside sustainable for its citizens?
One of the things that I think is important for our community is to have help with down payment. With that, I would add that we need local jobs and we need local careers. Part of it, I think, is having career opportunities and really, strong jobs with benefits and stability and long-term growth and opportunities.
The only thing we can control is we get in the housing building market. We can ask for jobs to come here. We can ask for developers to come here. We can ask for Silicon Valley to come here, and they may come. But the only thing you can control is that you can build affordable housing if you choose to. And we get more bang for the buck with my plan of building affordable efficiency housing for those making underneath less than $75,000 a year.
What's one thing you guys would change about Seaside and why?
I would like to change us from being a bedroom community to some type of community where we have jobs that meet the needs of the people that live in the city. It meets the needs of the students that graduate that live in the city, so they do not have to move out.
I think we need to also invest in more stable revenue for our community. Of course, water needs to be addressed. Seaside does have some water credits. One of the other things for me is parking and enforcement in some of those areas. I think a lot of our streets are really small, and I'm concerned about our fire trucks getting through our streets at times.
So the public's concerned with parking at Upper Military Avenue for Seaside Middle School pickup and drop-off. Parents are disrespectful. Students are destroying people's yards. How can you fix this?
Certainly we need to have just some enforcement come in, some presence on certain days. We really need to ramp up our community policing and enforcement efforts. One of the other things that I had thought of for the community is maybe having those temporary gates. It's not perfect for a neighborhood, but it maybe would retrain people to not go to their neighborhood. And, it's a sort of thing you can still get out of your neighborhood. You do have to get out of your car and move, but those are just some of the out-of-the-box thoughts that I have.
What it takes is us working with the school district and saying this is not acceptable. Either we pay for an officer to traffic, traffic officer for the start of school and the end of school, or the district pays for it. But we want the kids to get to and from school safely. We just need someone to group them up and get them across the street safely. And if the city needs to pay for that, then I would ask the council to look into that, and I would ask the school district to do it.
Do you believe that the SRO program at Seaside schools are useful and should be funded by the city?
I support the concept. I don't support the way it's been running over the last couple of years. I asked for the program, along with other council members, to reevaluate the program, redo the program, and the program I would support is more of a community service officer.
One of the things that came up on Saturday in that meeting was really needing an oversight committee from the school, as well as community involvement, as well as our nonprofit, making sure it's inclusionary and that we're not having more issues. So I think that that's definitely something that if it does go forward, that I would certainly be in support of and really want to see that be instituted immediately, and that it would be reported back to the council.
You were given $1 million grant to spend however you would like on the city. What would you do with it and why?
With $1 million, I would definitely go with my affordability housing proposal, and we would work on building affordable housing for those earning $75,000 and less.
I would really like to see helping people have down payments. So I would look at doing some of that, maybe doing more with tiny homes, things of that nature. I also added some more resources for community policing and enforcement within our city.
If elected, how could you, as a mayor, address homelessness?
Seaside is going to get about $360,000 based on our count of the homeless during the 2017 community assessment. But what I would do is, again, I would work with the county to make sure we partner with the Salvation Army or other homeless providers to not create the wheel, but to strengthen what they're doing so they can serve the people that live in our community that's facing housing.
I also would really be working with the county and our nonprofits. We really need to have some prevention measures for people that are right on the edge of maybe being homeless. There's been a lot of research that people stabilize and have greater opportunity if they have a base. And I've spoken to Veterans Transition about this. They really need to be based so that they can get the services, that they can, have a job application and address. That's been research that it's really important to create that base, and then from there provide services and try to build for those that want the help.
What happened, I understand that you have over 680 acres of unspoken for land out there on Fort Ord. What type of program you could actually consider to help nonprofits that's helping poor people and others, homeless, mentally ill, and things like this, go ahead and get a part of this property to build some type of foundation for this community. Secondly, is what is happening with Sun Bay and the trailer centers out there, which pays $1, I think it's $1 a year lease, that was negotiated by the military with a 100-year lease. What are you doing to rescind that and make those a part of the property paying taxes here?
What would you do to help nonprofits and to look at some of the land up on Fort Ord? One of the visions I have for that area is to have a nonprofit center. I think we could look at doing fundraising and working together with our nonprofits. Other communities I've lived in, when nonprofits come together and they're in similar buildings, there's a lot of cross-pollination that can happen with different things, and they don't all need to have the same resources. Bringing our nonprofits together so that they can work together with issues and, kind of community challenges is very beneficial.
There's no way we could jump in between that agreement with them and the Army. That's just not going to happen. But what we can do as a city is to partner with nonprofits, and I think I said that 3 times, in a way that we could strengthen them. And what the city could do is, if there is a parcel for former Fort Ord or a building on the seaside proper, we can figure out a way that we can negotiate and we can leverage all of our resources to make that a one-stop, a seaside one-stop for the nonprofits.
My question is, how do you plan to improve Fort Ord and incorporate it into our community?
I wish that was up to me. Right now, it's up to the Board of Supervisors. It's up to our state legislature. I think there are many other people that are going to determine what the entity of FORA is in Fort Ord to some extent before we as a council can even address some of those concerns. Hopefully, we can work with FORA and the supervisors and others to try to sunset it in a shorter time period. So those would be things that I would be working with, and our council, and I think also Marina is also very interested in seeing FORA be sunsetted sooner than later.
First of all, it's things that we can do. So I would work to remove the blight that's on the former Fort Ord. They're removing about 6 or 7 buildings on the former Fort Ord, and they're about $1.2 million a piece. And right now, there's nothing in the budget to take any of them down, and we don't have it in the budget to take any of them down. So we're talking about years of having them up there, but that's something we need to focus on. But it's things that we can do. So I would integrate that, and one of the things that I did with the council when I was on council about 7 years ago was to open up the parcel for Campus Town. So what we need to do is complete Campus Town, and that will integrate CSUMB more into Seaside, and we complete the hotel resort that is on the cusp of being complete. But it takes leadership and experience to push those things through.
So the question is, please explain how one group of children can be dismissed in redoing the park that is costing way too much money, apparently $7 million, while pushing out another group of children. So apparently the park is going to be, I believe, a skate park and a soccer field at Catino Park. I'm not sure, that's what I was informed of. So they want to know, what are you going to do about this?
I want to be clear, the field is multi-purpose, meaning football, softball, soccer, and I think it even provides for field hockey and anything other. And I think it's a way where we can have kids in the community end up in one spot, a catalyst spot, to have a good time. And then we do know we need to spread out and fix our parks and have other places for you guys to go. But that was the thought behind spending that money in one park.
For the money we are spending on Catino, I don't understand why we're not creating something bigger for our community. I'm not against making improvements to Catino as well, but I really think we need to spread this out. We've got over 20 parks in our community, and $7 million on one park is very concerning to me.
Hi, I'm Toby. So my question is, how are you going to fix the city's streets and sidewalks?
My understanding is that Seaside has over $70 million in needs at this point that's been reviewed, and obviously council just passed a $10 million bond that will cost the community $18 million ultimately, and I think it's something that Seaside, we need to look at some more options. We need to develop, we need to bring in employers that can also bring into our city base and our tax base, so that we as taxpayers aren't consistently just looking to raise bonds in order to improve our city.
First thing I would do, we would go back over that budget. I would ask the city manager to figure out what it would cost to pull the weeds out of the roads and what it would cost to fix some of the sidewalks, because we do have some of the sidewalks that have cracks in there that have been raised up. I think some of the heights are between 12 and 16 inches from level, and those would disappear. I would get rid of those, period. But we have to go back through the budget to find the money to do that. That's how simple it is. It's just to prioritize what you talk about, and the money is there.
What do you think is the most important obstacle to Seaside's growth and development, and how do you plan to solve it?
My opinion, I would say I know, because we've been working on it for years. It's water. We need a reliable source of water. That's what we need to solve. It's a regional issue, but Seaside is hurt the most because the region has not solved it. I will work together with the council to work on what is the best way forward, and that's working together, compromising, negotiating, so we can bring water to this community.
Water is the issue. I think it's interesting that Seaside wasn't able to find a way to create a solution to the water problems while both Sand City and Marina, neighbors of ours, were in some ways. I would really like to have some studies and look at, is there something that Seaside can do to address our need for water immediately?
Do you guys support Proposition J, which states that we will use taxpayer dollars to fund a feasibility research that may or not benefit Seaside's water problem? Why or why not?
I'm a strong supporter of Measure J. The discussion that we previously had is, should a public entity control or provide water? And we need to figure that out. We need to figure out whether it's cost effective, and we need to figure out whether we have a district that can do it.
Yes. Knowledge is power. So having a feasibility study and just understanding the costs associated with something that we're looking at a long-term investment in for our entire peninsula, to me, seems quite obvious. I mean, the more information we can get and the more we can understand if there are other alternatives as well. The second part to the Measure J is whether it would be publicly owned. Would we buy out CalAm? Will we work with CalAm? But first, we have to have more knowledge. We have to have more information so that we can really make a better decision.
As mayor, how do you plan to increase community involvement and communication with the public?
You know, it's about being more transparent and inviting. So to be more transparent, we also came up and we're doing more on the social media, doing more on our website transparency with our budget documents. We have more community groups, meaning committees and things of that nature that the council implemented over the last 2 years. So I would just say be more open and inviting to the council, meaning that they can go out and invite more community members.
I think it is about transparency and being hospitable to everyone who comes down and really listening to their concerns. And I'd like to see an online portal for people to also leave, concerns that they have. I think there are many in this community who don't want to be known that they maybe have a concern, but that they're not either comfortable public speaking or for other reasons, and I respect that. And I still think it's worth our council understanding. It is about having more community involvement and getting to know our neighbors as well. I think Neighborhood Watch is another initiative that our police department could look at really supporting again, and Neighborhood Improvement Commission as well.
Before we wrap up our event, which is we're going to do soon, I would like the candidates to be able to have a closing statement, and then we'll have a closing statement from a student just thanking you guys and appreciating you guys for showing up.
I will just close. I won't give my stump speech. I think we answered the questions to allow you to figure out where I'm at on the issues and how hard I will fight for the citizens of Seaside. I do want to thank the AP student government class for what a wonderful job you guys did holding this. This is one of the best forums that I think me and Lisa has had as a group, and even the third candidate, Kayla, would say the same thing if she was here. You guys did a wonderful job with the many questions. This is the first time we had so many questions. And that leads me to say that I have listened to all of your concerns, and your voice do matter to me. I hear you loud and clear. I will work for you hard every day to make sure your quality of life is as high as you deserve it to be. I ask for your vote on November 6th. I need your vote, need your support. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.
Like Ian, I'd just like to thank everybody for being here. I think the involvement of the students and getting engaged at this process and understanding the city government, civic government at this level, as well as other levels, is just awesome. I'm running for mayor of Seaside to provide a different approach and way to ensure Seaside's success, as well as providing greater transparency and business knowledge and financial oversight to the many upcoming transactions Seaside will be grappling with in the near future, as well as long-term investment decisions for both Seaside and the peninsula. And the students that are here, I encourage you to get out and vote. There's information on the back. If you're not 18 in November, you can register and be aware of what's going on. And I agree with Ian. I think if we had the third candidate here, I think this by far was the most informative and we were able to really share ideas more than anywhere else. So I thank you all for providing this format and forum and for being here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And as our final closing, I just want to say thank you for participating. A big round of applause for you guys. And for our amazing AP government teacher. Yes, and then we have our amazing project manager who made it. One last clap for all the AP Gov seniors. Do you have some words? So, November 6th is the date. What would we have mayors for if we didn't register to vote in the back? So yes, there's voter registration in the back if you are interested in information for both of these lovely candidates. Sadly, our third candidate wasn't allowed to be or was not present in this, but we hope that she's getting better soon. So please vote, please register, and please, please, please compliment someone on the way out. Thank you for coming.
McKate wants to thank you for tuning into our coverage of Seaside's 2018 mayoral election. Now that you have more information on this year's candidates, we urge you, our audience, to go out there and vote. According to the United States Census, during the 2016 election, only 46.1% of young adults ages 18 to 29-year-olds went out to vote compared to the 70.9% of citizens 65 and older. We're the next generation, so we should strive to make our voices louder in this year's election. Local elections have a lower turnout than general elections, despite having a more immediate impact on our daily lives. We would like to thank you again for becoming more informed about this year's election, but we would also like to urge you to seek additional sources about all of the candidates and measures you will be voting on this November. Researching for this particular piece was very interesting and eye-opening. Having as much information as possible will allow you, the voter, to make the most conscious decision.
The preceding program was made possible in part by the Nancy Eccles and Homer Hayward Family Foundation, the Digital Media Foundation, Yellow Brick Road, and the Arts Council for Monterey County. A big thank you from McCate TV.